Okay, people, welcome to this weird, wacky thing I decided to do today. I was all set up to do a review. I had the comparison figures out, I had the boxed pictures taken, the spinaroos done, and then Marvel dropped their Thunderbolts trailer. I watched it once, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I watched it twice, and I was like, oh, okay, what could be done action figure-wise here? Watched it a third time with pauses and searching for older figures, and I went down a rabbit hole. And then I ran out of time to do the review. Because at this point, I know how long it takes to do a review. And today, I don't have enough time left. But then I realized I've already done all this work. I've already done all this comparison. I might as well put it on video and throw it up and see what everyone else thinks. Now, first things first, I'm not asking Hasbro to reuse figures. I would like new sculpts every time if that were possible. But I'm also aware that there are budgets in play, and if parts can be reused, if they're fairly accurate, I'm not... I'm a realist, okay? I know that you can't get 100% accurate 100% of the time. I'm just looking for close, which makes me a terrible reviewer, but it allows me to have a lot more fun with my hobby. Plus, I'm a customizer at heart. If they don't make these, or they don't make the whole team, or they don't make somebody that I really, really want, then I have my options already laid out, or at least a good idea that I can grab this figure and make this figure, maybe. And that's another thing. I don't pay attention to leak lists. I may read through them, but they just fly right out of my head as soon as I'm done. So maybe these are already rumored. I don't know. But the way I'm looking at it is how they could be produced, what they may look like, just looking at this trailer and some of the costumes and the figures we have and don't have and possibilities. That's what I'm all about, possibilities. Right off the bat, we'll start with John Walker, U.S. Agent. This is the easiest one to manifest in action figure form because we already have this sculpt. But it would be a redemption figure because it was wrong to start with. The chest colors were reversed, the silver star was too bright, there were reds on the suit that shouldn't have been there, and then the star on the helmet. Even the picture on the packaging was closer to the show than the figure was. So here's our second chance at that. Get the colors right here. Either mute or remove the star on the chest. New head, which one would make it more accurate, take the star off, but two, the face could also be tweaked to have the beard, the run-down look that we're seeing in the trailer. That's it. Really. Oh, the shield. I was seeing it throughout the trailer, but it took me a couple of passes to realize that, yeah, it's just kind of a gunmetal-y red stripes, beat all to hell type shield. But then before I walked out here to record this, they posted a movie poster, and that gave us a damn good look at the shield. Yeah, this has seen some use. There's one down. I'm glad I never actually pulled out the paintbrushes to fix that first one. Although, if this doesn't happen, then I have that first one to pull the paintbrushes out and do. See how this works? I'm just planning ahead. Next up is Red Guardian, and at first glance I thought, well, there's another complete reuse situation, but it's not, because, again, as I was pausing throughout the trailer, I started noticing things. First thing that popped out at me was the chest armor, or the Little League catcher's protection worn by an adult. But then underneath looks like the straps from the original costume, for the most part. Enough for me to go, well, maybe somebody will come out with a 3D printed kit, and I can take the old Red Guardian and slap that on there. Done. The helmeted head matches up pretty closely, beard and all, although in the trailers he has more of a shaved head situation, and I can't remember if that masked head on the figure, the original figure didn't have a masked head, did it? It had kind of a clean cut beard, unmasked head, and then a 2-pack came out with the proper masked head and unmasked head with the long flowing hair. The next thing that jumps out at you is the light leather colored shoulder pad add-ons. That blows that reuse out of the water because there are big old stitches running down like this was added on top of that. But that color does match the top of the baseball vest thing. Below the knee matches up pretty good, the boot situation. Above the knee, they've added thigh pads with straps going around the legs. Then, of course, there's the arms that can't be reused from the original figure. There's now bicep pads, and there's no top of the glove or gauntlet or whatever was going on the first time around. It's kind of a cleaner look to the base costume itself, but then a bunch of overlays added. Could they reuse parts from the original? Yes. Do I want them to? No, but again, we have to live in reality. From here on out, the reuse gets way less, which is not great on a toy company budget because we're only a quarter way through of the figures I have listed out. The biggest reason for that may be because the two we've talked about already is superhero costumes. I mean, the next couple are still costumes, but it's veering towards. And in fact, I subconsciously did this order because it goes from superhero costumes to kind of in between to full-on tactical gear, what could be looked at as civilian clothing. Next up is Taskmaster, who has eliminated a lot of the armor type things, made it more of a bodysuit with overlay pieces that does kind of look like the original, but strays away for the most part. Okay, strays off completely when you really start looking at the nitty-gritty. The upper torso slightly keeps those horizontal lines, but then it's different. And that's all I got. If they really had to do reuse, they could sneak in lower legs and lower arms. Maybe upper arms, but it would be a change it up with paint situation because the boots are different, the gloves are different, the shoulder pads are different. My focal point is the head though. This goes way closer to Taskmaster. I know, shut up, I get it. Yes, it's not Barney, but the look with the white, more skull-like face mask, oh man, yeah, I like that a lot more. As far as the figure goes, it's going to require a lot of new. When it comes to Ghost, on the surface, it doesn't seem like a lot can be reused from the original figure, but the more I look, the more similarities there are. The torso is going to have to be new. It doesn't match her armor look. The arms match up pretty good. Maybe not the positioning of certain things, but the general idea is there. Same thing with the legs until you get down to the knee. It's got that line running down and then kicking to the inside. Again, it's not perfect. It's not 100%, but it's also going to be covered up. We'll get to that. Below that, the boots change up. On the original figure, it's really heavily armored. Like, oh, got to protect the calf and the ankle and such. The new one, or at least in this trailer, is kind of strappy. It goes down. It may have a plate on the front, but it doesn't match the original costume. Because then there's that belt comma type situation going on that's going to cover the hips and the upper legs. That's an easy overlay piece to do. Then maybe even strap it up over the shoulder where that looks like an overlay too. But the big thing it comes down to is the head. It's not the same mask. Same general concept with the lights in odd places, but they're not where her eyes should be, like on the original suit. Have a swappable up and down hood piece, and oh man, that'd be a good looking figure. She is unmasked in this trailer, and going back to the Marvel Legends figure, that also came with an unmasked head, which could be reused here if they changed the hair. That's one of the perks of doing hair pieces separately as a softer, rubbery top piece. They can keep the base sculpt of the face, the head itself, and then change that out movie to movie, because that's what they do. Movie to movie. We gotta tweak things. We got to change things in order to sell you more merchandise, more collectibles. Bucky brings it back around to more than likely going to get made because it's Bucky. But it's Bucky in street clothes. It's Bucky in workwear. It's kind of just pants and a jacket. And then, of course, a different haircut from what we've seen in any other media. It's not long like in first appearance. It's not short like the last time we saw him. It's somewhere in between, which we have had in figure form, but it doesn't quite match this I pulled my hair back in a ponytail and just snipped it look. More than likely we'll see the Captain America and Bucky legs used, because that's just kind of generic pants with boots. Maybe even the sleeve, even though it has tubing and design work on it. Although, if they're going to do a new torso with the jacket open, popped collar, and then a sleeve covering the metal arm, might as well do a sleeve for the other side, right? Please? The MCU's kind of gone that same route with Yelena, at least in this trailer. Still Black Widow-ish, like the belt, the fighting stick sticking out the back, the collar coming up. But then they've loosened the suit a whole lot to make it look more like a jumpsuit or even coveralls. But that makes sense because it's also showing her in and out of situations. Like, she can just run out of a mission into the streets, into a crowd, and she's not wearing a skin-tight leather number, which everybody would be like, What's going on over there? Is she a model? Is she a superhero? This is more like she just left her job at the factory. So I like that, but it really throws a wrench into the whole reuse thing, which is good. Hey, if they want to do Black Widow or Yelena from this movie, then it's going to require a new sculpt. Baggier look to the overall body. The sleeve is rolled up to show a kind of a segmented, tighter sleeve underneath, and then, of course, the Widow bracers. So maybe hands and one of the more recent Yelena head sculpts that is going to require new hair for sure, because that doesn't match anything previous. And that would be my core team as it's presented at this exact moment. Because I also have the feeling I'm going to need a Bob, who may suit up at some point, but all we've seen so far is very loose, almost hospital-looking gear. But then I'd also take a Val, which I guess could reuse some previous parts because she doesn't have a uniform. It's just kind of civilian clothes. Give me a Val head and put it on a body or make a new body. I'm good with that too. I'd be completely happy. That would be my team. That would be my display. I have a feeling this is all going to depend on the next Captain America movie. Although, if they are planning Thunderbolts, they would already be in some stage of planning, if not production. It comes out in May, I think. So there's already plans. There's got to be. But how they're released or how much is released may depend on Captain America, which is in February, at the first of the year. So, I don't know. There's always all kinds of things up in the air. I'm just speculating. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not prognosticating anything. I'm just pouring out my thoughts that I had as I was going through the trailer. Because anytime I see an MCU trailer, or any kind of trailer for any movie I want to watch anymore, toy thoughts come to my head. Action figure possibilities. And that's what we're working with here. Just possibilities. Just wish listing. Just wondering what's going to happen. So, that's all I got. Bye.